Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. It is June 11th, 2024. Today we're going to be talking about The Lord of the Rings, the anime. Finally getting a look at this long gestating movie. Will it save the Lord of the Rings franchise, folks? This I don't know. Never mind the fact Pete Docter talking about Pixar never going live action and The Boys is ending. Hollywood After Dark. Let's effing go. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. I know it's been a minute. I'm getting back into doing these, these shorter 20 to 30 minute long episodes covering the news of the day. And I'll tell you guys why I want to do it like this, because honestly, I'm at the point now, maybe I'm old, maybe I'm middle-aged, maybe I'm just cynical. I really don't like a lot of news journalists, these pundits, because I do think that they are hurting the industry. I think it's not just the chuds. Okay. I think it's not just the chuds. I think that the media itself, the pundits themselves, are so negative, so nitpicky, so nihilistic, cynical, bitter cat people. And I say this as a cat person, that they are actively hurting the industry. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is yesterday, I was reading Scott Derrickson's Twitter. Scott Derrickson directed Doctor Strange and the Black Phone. And he was talking about how box office reports are down 26% as compared to the previous year at this time. And this is before Barbenheimer, by the way. And that is not great. And I've talked about this before in how studios are just really pushing PVOD because that's where they're going to find a lot more money. That doesn't have to be shared with the theaters. And, Quentin Tarantino recently had come out and said that, movie theaters are just too damn expensive. This is a working man's art form. $5 should get you in the door. I mean, all of those things are valid and true. But what really set the tone for my opinion, what really kind of got me thinking about it was just a random tweet from a random dude who works at a movie theater. And he was saying that at his manager meeting last week, they were talking about how the negative perception of box office totals and headlines sends a very bad and very negative viewpoint to everybody else who's watching this. And you know what? And I picked up on this the other day. I was bickering. I could say I was complaining to Culture Crave. His account I follow on Twitter. I'm pretty, I guess you could say, prolific in my responses. I make money doing that, by the way, as well. However, they were going like Furiosa drops X amount of percentage. It's only made this much money. Here's the budget. And I'm like, are you guys actively trying to trash this movie? Are you actively trying to get people to not go see it? Are you actively trying to hurt it? And I know Culture Crave is not actively trying to do that. Not consciously, at least I don't think so. But if you look at Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, all of these people, all of these publications, all owned by the same parent company, by the way, but let's not talk about that. They push this narrative of death and destruction and chaos and mayhem inside the industry. And then that becomes the talking points, right? How many times do you see tweets and responses to movies not having completely box office record-breaking opening weekends with this just a cynical "it's Jover" post? How many people do that all the time? Movies aren't given a chance to thrive at the box office. Some do. Some will slip through every single year, and that's always good. But for the absolute most part, they don't have the opportunity. And why is that? Because everybody is literally banking on them to fail. They are banking on them to fail because they can then report it as a net negative. They can sound the alarms. They can get out there like the guy watching the Hindenburg explode and go, "Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity." They can do this. And then they make money, right? And they spread that narrative. And then that becomes the talking point. Well, the movie flopped. The movie bombed, i.e. the movie bad. But then people go, oh, but why don't people go see more movies in theaters? How about because there's a fucking apathy? There's a genuine fucking apathy. I would love to go to movies more often. I don't have the time. I've talked about this multiple times. I work 40, 50 hours a week at my job. I want to do Hollywood After Dark, get that back up. I want to build that back up, build up Patio commentary. I'm trying to do all of that, but the trade-off is I don't have the time to go to the theaters, so I have to wait. If I wasn't working Thursdays, I could have the time, but I work Thursday through Sunday, and I put in 40 to 50 hours between Thursday and Sunday. I just don't have the time and the energy. I have a house, I have a mortgage, I have a family, kids, I have other obligations. I have things that I do. I volunteer sometimes to help out with domestic violence, abuse shelters, videography stuff. Not enough time. So I'll watch the movies when they come to PVOD because that's the time that I have. And that's not just me. That's a lot of other people. There's an interesting TikTok I saw. Again, this is on the Scott Derrickson thing yesterday that I can't find to show you, but it was a guy talking about how he went to go see a late night show of Godzilla x Kong. And there were these kids that were just being obnoxiously rude. And as a result, some other dude rolled on up, pulled out a gat and was like, "You best respect, I'm from the streets," sort of thing. And they all shut the hell up. And then at the end, the people were fist bumping the dude who pulled out the gun on kids. Now, I don't support that action, believe it or not, but I think it is kind of funny having worked for 13 years in movie theaters. You know what I mean? But again, that goes to show you that it's not a safe place. It's there people talking in a movie because they think they can get away with it. And then some other guy feels the need to pull out a gun to threaten them to shut the hell up. I mean, at least he didn't shoot, thank God, right? So we are just in this very weird place right now with movies. And I think, again, it's the perception of the media is absolutely hurting the industry because the average person sees movie flops. They think movie bombs. They think movie bad. Why waste my time? Why waste my energy? Why waste my money? And that is what's killing movie theaters faster, quite literally, than anything else. But I'll tell you, I just got to get this out of the way real quick. I'll tell you what's not killing theaters is my coverage of movies on Patio commentary. That is also on this channel as well. I just posted the Late Night with the Devil episode last night. That is up. If you've seen that excellent movie and you want to get my take on it, you can. Coming up this week is going to be the Bad Boys films. I'm going to try to go see Bad Boys either tonight or tomorrow. I have to just find the time to finish watching Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys 3. I watched Bad Boys last night. Excellent movie. Hadn't seen it probably 24 years. Still can quote the movie so many ways. Still love the movie in so many ways. Can't wait to dive into the sequel and the sequels, I should say. But there's a lot to get to today. So why don't we dive into it? I want to cover a little bit of positive Star Wars news. If you've been following the Summer Game Fest, you know that Star Wars Outlaws has been heavily showcased. They showed us 20 minutes of footage yesterday. It looks amazing. Right now, we're finding out that it's going to take about 30 hours to beat on its own. And if you happen to be like me and you're going to go for the completionist route, it's going to take about 50 to 60 hours. And as I said right there, sign me the F up. I am very hyped, very excited for this. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with Star Wars Outlaws. So much so that I'm actually probably going to go buy Avatar, The Frontiers of Pandora, because it's on sale right now. And both games use the Snowdrop engine, and both are done through Massive Studios, who also did the Division games. So I'm a fan of those. So yeah, that's coming up. I'm pretty happy about. Another cool, well, not cool. I want to kind of complain about this from yesterday. So there was all these articles that popped up, right? Entertainment Weekly apparently had done some confirmation that Taylor Swift is not going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. And they made this whole big thing. They're like, we can confirm that Taylor Swift will not appear in this movie, folks. You guys can calm down. Tay-Tay is not going to be in this movie. And I'm like, why would you say she was in the movie? That's kind of ridiculous. That's kind of dumb. Don't you think? It's a little bit on the stupid side to go, yeah, let's absolutely showcase that the biggest entertainment star in the world, and that's what Taylor Swift is. There at the top of the entertainer pile is Taylor Swift by a metric mile above everybody else. Taylor Swift being in Deadpool and Wolverine as a secret cameo that pops up is something that is going to then blow up on the internet and drive more of her fans to go see the movie. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why not just do that, let it be known ahead of time, and then they all rush to go see it opening weekend, because the opening weekend box office numbers seem to be what anyone ever cares about. We're talking longevity here. We're talking legs, repeat viewings, keeping that on the outskirts, keeping that as a cameo that won't get leaked is something that is going to then drive more people to go see it. Trust me. Trust me on that one, folks. That is a big, big, big factor with that. So that's why I think the yesterday was really stupid. It felt like you guys are kind of showing your hand in regards to go like, we can positively confirm that Taylor Swift is not going to be in this movie. Okay, folks, we can positively confirm Tay-Tay is not here. Okay. And then at the same time, also, it's like, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. You know, it's that kind of propaganda. It's that kind of misdirection that doesn't really work. It doesn't really fly. We know this. We absolutely know this, folks. Moving on here, we found out today, Arcane is going to conclude its epic tale in a final season. Remember, Arcane season 1 came out like in 2022. We know that season 2 is going to be coming out November 2024. It is the second and last of the series. A lot of fans are going to be very upset by this because they've been waiting for more Arcane. They want to know more. What's going to happen with this? Obviously, there are going to be other spinoffs into the League of Legends universe, I believe, coming off of this. But for right now, they are just going to wrap it up with this show. And it makes sense because animation takes a lot of time. Animation takes a lot of money. Obviously, we're not at the point yet where AI can really help with that, can really benefit with that. Give it a couple years. It should be a little bit different. That being said, also the cost of Haley Steinfeld and Ella Purnell, both of whom now have just skyrocketed their careers in ways that are probably going to cost the company way too much money to hire them for season 3. We have to keep that in mind as well, that this is going to be a big factor, that this is, you know, the money. The money's the thing. Netflix very much wants to start to kind of like tone things down a little bit. They want to scale back a little bit and focus more on quality, but also quality that they can afford. Right? So something like this may have been big in some ways, but maybe not enough to move the needle to warrant continue paying out however much they were going to pay for this kind of movie or this kind of show. I don't know. You know what I mean? I really don't know, but it is a thing. Also, getting to some Rebel Moon news. Zack Snyder confirmed today that the Rebels Moon director's cuts, the 6-hour movie, Chapter 1, Chalice of Blood, Chapter 2, Curse of Forgiveness, coming out on August 2nd, only on Netflix. They have some new pictures here. Is this Jimmy? I don't know. I don't know. You've got a couple things here left. Definitely looks pretty nice. Definitely looks Zack Snyder. Although you've got Miguel Doe Peewee here that says, I can't wait to not watch it. And that is something I've seen quite a bit on Twitter. Again, going back into the apathy aspect though, but this is a little bit different of a situation because Rebel Moon Part 1 came out in December. Rebel Moon Part 2 came out in April. The movies have largely left the conversation. Zack Snyder fans are still talking about more DC movies. They're not talking about Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon was an interesting concept. That was definitely like a blank check for Zack Snyder. Under, what was it? Reed Hastings, I think, over at Netflix. They definitely kind of just gave him a blank check, let him do what he wants. That was actually a big cause for concern for why I think, Dan Lin is now in charge over there, wanting to make things a lot more of a quality-based studio rather than just a vanity project content machine for creatives with varying degrees of success. And I say that because some filmmakers are really able to operate within that space and produce good content. Other ones need a guiding hand. There's no I in filmmaking. It's a team-based project. It doesn't matter who the auteur is, who the maestro is. You still need all the other bits and pieces to flow and work together harmoniously in order for something like this to actually be considered good. I haven't seen Rebel Moon yet. I've been very open about my whole thoughts on Rebel Moon. I simply do not like give as much of a shit about it. Like I won't watch the PG-13 cut. I've already said this. I've already said this multiple times. My argument for it has always simply been, why wait? Why spoil myself on something that is apparently, and I was right to call it out, it was apparently very kind of, what's the word I want to use here? Oh yeah, like undercooked, not very good. Why spoil myself on something that is not great when I can just wait a few extra months, which is fine, and watch it uninterrupted? I'll sit down one night, I'll do a full 6-hour ride, and then I'll talk about it. I'll do probably 2 episodes of audio commentary talking about part 1 and part 2 because it's such a long movie. I'm going to have to do that. But then I won't be spoiled. I won't then have that weird backwash taste on my mouth from the PG-13 cuts. And I think that's just the way to go. I think if you know there's going to be an extended director's cut of a movie, I think at this point now, just for being a film fan, you might want to wait for that to come out or demand that that's what we get to see. You know, especially when it comes to Ridley Scott, like Napoleon has apparently a 4-hour director's cut. We know that Ridley Scott director's cuts are better than his theatrical. We know this. It's like proven ever since, you know, like what, like Black Hawk Down, everything since then has kind of been like, maybe you should just watch the director's cut. But Apple TV Plus is not wanting to release it. Why? Why is that? I don't know what's going on. It's such a weird world that we live in. But moving on here again, we're finding out now that the Power Rangers live action show in development, or is no longer in development at Netflix. Hasbro is now looking to redevelop it with a new partner. It's okay that Power Rangers go bye-bye. You know, I mean, other people out there may not like that. They may not want me to say that. They may, you know, really want more Power Rangers. But this is an image here of the Power Rangers 2017 movie. A movie that I liked, by the way, but it's also 7 years old now. You know, Power Rangers had its big anniversary on Netflix, I think, like last year before last. You know, it did pretty well. You have a lot of old school fans that are still around, that still love the OG cast. Those who are left of the OG cast that aren't like, was it the Red Ranger pushing like Hitler quotes or some shit like that? I forget what it was. Some crazy stuff. But at the same time, it's like, you know, maybe just like let it die down. Let it die down for a little while. Let people, you know, remember the good stuff before you start pumping out the other stuff, right? And I don't know, maybe, you know, whatever. I'm going to get some pushback probably from Power Rangers fans on that one, and that's absolutely fine, but that's just the way that I view it. I'm okay with it for right now. I'm definitely okay with it for right now. So another, there was a thing today, a bad thing today. Not a bad thing, but a sad thing. Okay. We did find out that The Boys is going to be ending with season 5. We did find that out. We found out that it's going to be ending with season 5, and that is going to be coming out obviously next year. What Eric Kripke has said about this is that The Boys will end in season 5 and will not continue, meaning there's not going to be, you know, it's a definitive ending, probably meaning both Billy and Homelander are going to die, right? Probably meaning that. They are wanting to continue making Gen V because Gen V is a great show, but with the loss of Chance, that definitely sucks. And they are looking right now to develop a couple other shows within that universe. What's interesting about this, though, is Eric Kripke had said just the other day that like he can't say when his show is going to end because he doesn't know when it's going to end, right? Like, you know, he's like I'm the kind of guy that's absolutely like not the one to talk to on that because, you know, his other show, Supernatural, ran for 15 seasons. But I guess here they just want to make sure they ended on the right case. Now, one person has an interesting take on this, and that, of course, is our good friend Grace Randolph, who, you know, she's well known for saying,
Well, what do you know?
I'm sorry to throw that on you. She says, in response to this, good way to combat the lukewarm Rotten Tomato score. I think the aggressive and wall-to-wall MAGA commentary for season 4 might have backfired a bit. As in, for anyone on the left, sometimes it feels like you're watching Fox News. Now, we know, guys, we absolutely freaking know that there has been no hidden agenda from Eric Kripke, from Seth Rogen, from anyone involved with the boys about their, their intent, what they're making fun of, right? What they are ultimately parroting, what they are laughing at, all of those things. We know this. But for some reason, Grace Randolph is still just kind of like running her mouth on. I don't know. Grace is also a big problem in the industry. If you want my honest take on that, she's a big problem as well, because she likes to just run her mouth over things. She gets things wrong quite often, but it never stops her. She is like the top female critic in the space, and she lives on that hilltop, and no one can come close. So, I mean, that is, I guess you could say, the leniency that's been afforded to her by her fans, despite the fact that she has some really, really brain dead takes every once in a while. But I want to kind of move over real quick and talk about this other thing that came up today. In a new interview with Time Magazine, Pete Docter says Pixar has no interest in making live action remakes of their films. And that is something that, yeah, sure, makes a lot of sense, right? He goes on to say here, this might bite me in the butt for saying it, but it sort of bothers me. I like making movies that are original and unique to themselves. To remake it, it's not very interesting to me personally. So much of what we create only works because of the rules of the animated world. So if you have a human walk into a house that floats and your mind goes, wait a second, hold on. Houses are super heavy. How are balloons lifting the house? But if you have a cartoon guy and he stands in the house, you go, okay, I'll buy it. The worlds that we built just don't translate very easily. The interesting element with that, though, for Pete Docter is that we have the suspension of disbelief, right? We do have that suspension of disbelief in when it comes to movies. Like, we know this. We know that there is absolutely going to be, like, you watch a movie in live action, you see a dragon fly by, you know that it's not real, but your mind tells you that the rules of the world build it up. And the rules of the world push it, and they believe in it, then you'll believe in it. That's how the suspension of disbelief works. I know I'm not, none of you guys here are going to have any trouble understanding that. But I get what Pete Docter's trying to say. This whole article here, Pixar's Pete Docter, if Inside Out doesn't succeed, we have to radically rethink our business. The problem with Pixar is not that it's Pixar's fault. The problem with Pixar is that it's Disney. So let's really talk about that, because he might say, well, we don't want to do live action remakes of our movies. We don't want to do that. But your parent company, the people who sign your paychecks, the people who fund your $100+ million, $200 million was the budget for Turning Red, by the way. Autobiographical take on a woman getting her first period, and having an allegory of a panda. A great movie, by the way, but it was $200 million to literally just have a movie about a young girl getting her first period. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but that's what it is. I mean, I love Turning Red, but it is what it is. Anyway, Disney might want to do this, because Disney right now, we had the Little Mermaid movie come out, barely squeaked out a profit. They've got Lilo and Stitch coming later on this year, still not a frame scene of Lilo and Stitch. They're gonna, they're gonna probably do other live action. I think there's like an Aladdin 2 they want to do. There was that one weird spinoff with the prince from Aladdin, played by Billy Magnuson, which made like no sense. And that one, I don't know if it's still in development or not. But once Disney mines all of its IPs, Snow White is still coming at some point in time. It was supposed to come out already this year. It's just been pushed back. Nobody wants to see it. It might quietly go away. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case or not. But once Disney mines all of those IPs, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to Pixar. They're going to go, listen, we could do a live action Incredibles. We have the technology to do it. We could do a live action Bugs Life, really. We could do a live action Toy Story. We could do a live action Monsters Inc. We could do a live action Ratatouille. We could do a live action version of all of these movies, because they had the technology to do it, and they have the soulless executives that want to get their payment up front in order to be able to do it. So it doesn't matter what Pete Docter really wants. It really matters what the House of Mouse wants. But here's some of the ideas here. Like, look, going into this article, there are high stakes for Inside Out 2. Inside Out came out 2015, 9 years ago. Great movie. Will this movie be able to do well? Because Elemental came out last year, struggled. Lightyear struggled. Elemental did eventually eke out a profit, but Lightyear didn't. So really for right now, Inside Out 2 is kind of like the litmus test for what the future of Pixar is going to be. It's right because, Pixar has, and this is by their own admission, faced difficulties in creating original ideas that resonate widely. Pete Docter has mentioned the challenges of coming up with universally relatable concepts 2 decades into their existence, which is usually not a good sign. There's also been the impact on streaming, saying that the shift of movies to Disney Plus during the pandemic affected audience viewing habits, which is true. Pixar aims to bring audiences back to theaters, recognizing the current preference for at-home viewing, especially for kids' movies. That's one of the reasons why with these movies, you have to then make them affable to adults. And I think Inside Out will be a good one on that one, right? People have already gone through puberty. They kind of chuckled at the first one. This is going to be totally different. Pixar plans to balance its output with more sequels, which are perceived as safer bets for drawing audiences. This, of course, is because Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Onward did not seem to pull in the people. And they're good movies, right? They're all great films. I love Luca. Luca is so freaking good. Soul is amazing. Onward is a lot of fun, albeit a little bit. I didn't like the some of the casting. But then you've got the sequels are also considered harder to make as they need to build on the previous successes in unexpected ways. Toy Story 5 is going to be a tough one. But having Andrew Stanton now being the director of that, him having done Wall-E and I forget the other one that he did, we're definitely going to get. Did he do Up? I forget if he did Up or not. But we're definitely going to get something good out of that. Oh no, he did Finding Nemo. That's what it was. We're going to get a good, heartfelt story out of that. That might wrap everything up. But then again, there could be Toy Story spinoffs. Their shows, the half-hour episodes that they did for ABC, the Toy Story of Terror and Toy Story That Time Forgot were both excellent. They were excellent. So things like that can work. It's just, focus on maybe different characters. There's also been creative and business shifts at Pixar. Pixar has adjusted its creative vision and business strategy to cope with recent box office underperformances. The studio has had to cut budgets and streamline production processes. They also closed down their, I think it was, they laid off everybody doing like the Pixar animated content for Disney Plus, which means like Monsters at Work probably won't get a season 3. They also, again, going back into the importance of theatrical releases here, Pete Docter highlighted the value of theatrical releases for the long-term success of the movies, both in theaters and on streaming. He suggests a longer theatrical window benefits the film's overall performance and audience engagement. The problem with that, though, and he's right, he's 100% correct on that, but the biggest problem with that, friends, folks, people listening, is that to do that, you have to be the canary in the coal mine. To do that, you have to be the first person to do it. You have to be that experiment. If you survive and you live through it, that can open the door for more movies to do it. But Hollywood is risk averse. We know this. Hollywood is so goddamn fucking risk averse that they want to focus more on sequels. That's coming in from a Disney edict, I guarantee you. And so instead of doing original content, which is what they've been known for, which is what people do want ultimately, they are afraid. But I will say this. I do want an Incredibles whole cinematic universe. I would love more Toy Story spinoffs. I would love a Bug's Life sequel. I would love, more in Monsters universe. I would all that stuff, right? There are worlds there worth exploring, but also, giving us more original content and spacing it out. Maybe one sequel, one original, one sequel, one original. Don't do 2 to 3 movies a year like they were, at least 2 movies. Like, don't do that, because that's just spreading everyone too thin. And also, I'm just going to end it with this. Bring back John Lasseter. Disney Animation and Pixar have both struggled immensely since he left. Now, he hasn't done great over at Skydance, but Lasseter led a team of very involved and very dedicated people that trusted each other's visions. And I think that is the cohesive aspect of Lasseter's skill set. And he needs that, and Disney needs that, and Iger needs that. And bringing him back after all these years, he just can't touch anyone. That's the only thing. You can't touch anyone. No hugging John. This is a no hugs environment for John Lasseter, but they need his brilliance because otherwise they're going to fail. And maybe you guys disagree, and that's okay, but that's fine. So let's talk about the last story of the day. Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, the anime, finally got a new look. Here are a couple screen grabs that have been coming in from Entertainment Weekly. RJ, friend of the show here, says this is an animated by Japanese anime studio that directed by Kenji Kamiyama. They are cooking. Kenji Kamiyama has been around Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. He worked on Akira. You know, this guy, there's some pedigree there. And yeah, even though I can't say I really cared for Akira or Ghost in the Shell overall, like their stories were kind of crap, the animation was top notch. And so this does look traditionally more anime. It does look traditionally like late 80s, early 90s anime. Obviously, there's some CG in there, everything else. But it is going to be very interesting to see here. Here is an interesting look. This is what the original concept art was that we saw a couple years ago when they announced this project. And this is what they came up with. So it's definitely changed its visual stylings. And that is okay. But here's what we know about the movie itself. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 30 minutes. Peter Jackson is executive producing. The main protagonist is Helm Hammerhand's daughter, Hera. Say that 5 times fast. And it's set 183 years before the events of the films. And yeah, I mean, all that sounds great to me. And I also, again, I happen to be a fan of the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I think it's a great show. Looking to see more what comes out of that. So yeah, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan right now, you're kind of feasting, folks. You're kind of feasting. And that's great to hear. And that's going to bring me to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to support the channel, the best way to do that is to become a channel member. Help out Hollywood After Dark Premium. That is a great way to just support the channel if you want to. If you can't do that, please share it around. I try to be no nonsense. I try to be funny. I try to be fair. I try to be accurate. I try to be what I feel everyone else is not. I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to mislead you. I'm going to try to be funny, maybe a bit hyperbolic for entertainment purposes, but I want you guys to know that I love movies. And I think if you watch the show, you know that I love movies, especially when I talk about them on Podio commentary, like Strays, Blair Witch, Lake Mungo. Oh, I haven't done the assignment one yet. I need to sit down and record that episode. But like I said, last night, Late Night with the Devil came out. Be sure to check those out. Those are on the channel right now. And I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Thank you all so much. Have yourself a great day, everybody. And remember, we love movies. So let's freaking enjoy more of them, okay? Don't let people just kind of like, you know, just don't let people ruin it for you is what I'm trying to say, okay? Just enjoy it. Love it. Live it. This is your passion. This is your hobby. Never let anyone tell you that it's bad, okay? I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you again. Love you lots. Peace out.